Kwon is mad that Muguk kept running his mouth, so he commands his henchmen to kill him right away. As the henchmen make their way to strike, Muguk looks back to the lady and asks her to cover the child's eyes and ears. She does as she is told. Meanwhile, Muguk calmly waits for the strike from the henchmen to come his way. He waits for the absolute last second, waiting for the incoming attacks. The moment the attack reaches his head, Muguk uses one of the 4 strides of the wind god, the death step, to evade all the attacks and appears in front of the Kwon. He wonders how Muguk is able to get so close to him. To his surprise, in that split second, Muguk is already beheaded the 3 henchmen before he appears right in front of Kwon. He asks who Muguk is because he believes there is no way a mere vagrant has such abilities. Muguk returns the question, wondering who this sad, pathetic lowlife is. The lady joins the conversation, stating Kwon is one of the vassals who protect her household. She also introduces herself as Jeom Seon, the daughter of the Golden Manor Master. This is why Muguk hid his identity and joined as a vagrant warrior. Her father is Jeomasu, one of the top 10 largest merchants in the Central Plains. He is the richest man in Fujin and the master of the Golden Manor. Muguk knows from his past life there was an incident where the Golden Manor Master was betrayed by his most trusted vassal and lost his life. His daughter also died, and fortunately, Muguk is able to interfere in the incident to save her. Since Muguk is conversing with Seon, Kwon sees an opening and goes for an attack attempt. Kwon swings his sword, going to strike Muguk's neck. Unfortunately for him, in a split second, Muguk has already finished his swing, and his head rolls over to the side. Muguk states how these scum always try to attack him whenever he is looking elsewhere. Turning around, Seong offers to hire Muguk and pleads for his help. In return, since the situation is different from what originally he is hired for, he asks for a lot more payment. Seong is fine with it. No matter how expensive he is, she is determined to pay it and request him to save her father. At the Golden Manor, the lowlife ringleader is laughing hysterically. After planning and scheming for 10 years, he along with his underlings finally able to catch the 2 of them, Seong and her daughter, as the carriage arrives. To his surprise, they arrive safely with Muguk, wondering where Kwon's whereabouts are. Muguk coldly stares at the lowlife as he states everyone died except for him. The lowlife wonders who killed them. So Muguk reveals that they were killed by a mysterious martial master who is young and handsome. He is screaming as he wonders why he bothers to praise his enemy. Muguk decides to stay silent at how dim the lowlife is until he realizes that Muguk is the one who killed Kwon. Muguk smiles the moment he realizes the young and handsome person is in front of him. That instant, the henchmen immediately surround him with their weapon drawn. The lowlife ringleader suggests that he should have run far away after saving the woman and the child instead of coming right back into the tiger's den. Muguk simply provokes them, saying he can only see dogs barking instead of tigers. The lowlife ringleader, able to at least understand the young man in front of him, is definitely not ordinary for being able to kill Kwon and come here. Muguk comes into the enemy's base. He also looks confident and relaxed despite being surrounded. Suddenly, the lowlife puts his hand together and offers Muguk to go in and talk over drink. Muguk simply refuses. It doesn't matter if he acts kind, because Muguk won't go easy on him. Seeing it doesn't work, the lowlife commands his henchmen to kill him. Muguk disappears from his original place and appears right in front of one of the henchmen to deliver one-hit kill. They immediately know Muguk is too fast for their own good. Yet, before they could do anything meaningful, their life ended with a single strike. Despite their superior number, the massacre is clear for anyone that able to see. One after another, they are dropping like flies, dying for their crime of betraying their master. The lowlife ringleader can only be shocked witnessing all of his underlings are slayed by a single person. He can only wonder who the young man who did all of this is. In return, Muguk states that he is no one. He is just a hired swordsman who smelled an opportunity to earn a lot of money. Knowing Muguk is interested in money, the lowlife offers him to pay him to go away. But Muguk doesn't want it, claiming he is already hired and he is not interested in the money he stole from his master. Suddenly, another henchman appears holding a sword on Jiam Asu's neck, telling him to drop his sword. Seong can only helplessly scream, pleading for his father's safety. The lowlife ringleader tells Muguk to let down his sword, threatening to kill the Golden Manor Master if he does not. On the contrary, Muguk swiftly swings his sword upward. The sword attack travels through toward the henchman, as the ringleader is confused with what just happened. Before he could blink, his sword was split apart where it got struck. Muguk uses the soaring sword art, fourth form, and the flaming heaven, splitting the henchman in two. The ringleader can only scream in horror to see his henchman meeting his fate, while Muguk asks him to repeat what he is going to do if he doesn't drop his sword. The ringleader pleads for his life, asking Muguk to wait and talk. But Muguk doesn't want to entertain the idea and tells him to come if he doesn't want to die. The lowlife ringleader assumes that since Muguk used such a powerful sword aura, he must be almost out of inner energy now, knowing that he takes his sword out and immediately goes for an attack attempt. In deflecting the attack, Muguk decides to put up a weak act, showing he is having a hard time dealing with his attack. On the other hand, the lowlife ringleader gathers all his energy into his sword, going for an instant finish. One after another, Muguk keeps deflecting the barrage of attacks, confusing the lowlife. Now he can only wonder how such a young man is able to release an extremely strong attack, yet able to defend against his attacks. The lowlife assumes that if he can push a little longer, he is able to get the upper hand. To his surprise, Muguk's sword already went through his heart, as Muguk expresses his disappointment at how pathetic the lowlife is. Muguk adds he should have spent his life training himself instead of indulging in his greed. As the head of the bodyguard household that was supposed to protect the Golden Manor should live like that, hoping for him to be rich in his next life. Once everything is done, Jiamasu thanks Muguk for saving him along with his family and respectfully states to never forget his help. In the end, Muguk can only claim to be a mere vagrant passing after being asked about his name. Fortunately, the skill he shows cannot be from a mere vagrant, signifying he doesn't want to reveal his name. Seong chips in, explaining to his father she made a promise that they would give him money as a reward. So Jiam Asu praises his daughter, since that is a promise they are definitely able to keep. He turns to Muguk, stating if all he needs is money, then he has come to the right place. Well, it's true, because that is the exact reason why Muguk bothers to disguise himself as a vagrant to help them. Taking Muguk to his warehouse, Jiam Asu wishes to give him everything he has, but that would be hard to do in reality. Being respectful back to the old man, Muguk claims wouldn't ask for such. So the old man suggests that Muguk go into the manor and take as much as he can carry as payment. In return, he can't use any carts or get help from others, but he can use his own inner energy. Muguk asks whether the old man is sure, because he can carry a lot. Jiam Asu is adamant about letting him take as much as he can carry, since he, along with his family, would be dead if not for Muguk. Returning the kindness, Muguk respectfully bows to the old man before he goes into the warehouse to take everything he can carry. Talking to his father, Seong wonders if his father would be all right since with his martial arts, the young man might be able to take much more than the old man might imagine. Jiamasu is so grateful to Muguk. Nothing is more important to him than having his daughter and granddaughter alive. Nothing inside of the warehouse is more precious than the young man protecting them today. On the other hand, they both know Muguk is no ordinary person. Seong notices the young man is hiding his skill and is extremely powerful despite his young age. The old man is somehow able to see something about Muguk that he can't express with words alone. He has met countless people in his life, but he has never ever met someone so young, confident, and has such a unique air around him. After surviving this calamity, as a merchant they can always earn money, but they might never be able to build a connection with someone like Muguk ever again. That is why he is fine even if Muguk takes a lot. The more he takes, the deeper a connection they will build. As if it's a habit, Muguk goes back to the Heavenly Demon Pavilion to see his father after he sells the gold and treasure that he took from the Golden Manor in various places. Muguk takes out a literal mountain of treasures on his back when he is out, and it is too much for a single shop to buy it. He went to different places every time he arrived in a city to sell the jewels. That was how he earned 38 million niang to become the cornerstone of the squad that will be directly under his command. As usual, he sees his father in his seat. Chanhua receives reports from Sima Myung in this place several times a day and makes important decisions. Depending on those decisions, some would live and some would die. That makes Myuguk wonder if his father is really satisfied with this life. As he makes his way to report, he thinks maybe just like him, and Leon, his father might want to give away the position of the heavenly demon to venture outside. Myuguk reports that he went outside to earn some money, claiming he can't keep using his father's money and will also need a lot of funding going forward. That piques Chanhua's interest, asking how his son intends to spend it. Chanhua is a little shocked when his son wants to form his own private group, with reasons that each of the Demon Supremes takes in their own subordinates. In order to deal with them, he will need his own. Chanhua is adamant about forbidding it. If Myuguk creates his own squad, then his brother would also want to, and in the end, the family and the cultists will then become divided. Myuguk is expecting resistance on this and knows it wouldn't be approved at once. So he takes out a bamboo slip and offers it to his father. Once Chanhua takes a look at it, he immediately asks what is with this money. He is shocked when Myuguk says that it's his son's allowance for him. Chanhua claims to have immense wealth, and Myuguk already knows that his father is the richest in the world. What he just gave his father is the first allowance as a son to thank him for giving birth and raising him. Myuguk wants to do this at least once and asks for leave as he wishes his father to have a good rest. Chanhua is proud of his son, but he can't say anything due to his position as the heavenly demon. On top of that, the money he received from his son will be his own, while the immense wealth he has is the cult's. With this money, Myuguk wishes his father to do things as he wishes, not as the heavenly demon, but as a free person. The next day, Myuguk is preparing himself for the welcoming ceremony as the master of the Nirvana Pavilion, with Leon beside him. Once everyone is ready, Daryong comes in to inform them that everything is ready. They converse for a bit, as Myuguk doesn't expect that Daryong would be the one to report. It is a big surprise that Myuguk would become the master of Nirvana Pavilion. In the end, Daryong is confident his new master will serve the cult faithfully. The members of the pavilion are lining up neatly on this bright morning. The next step of Myuguk's life starts with the right people behind him. They go out of the pavilion to start the ceremony of welcoming the new pavilion master. The moment Myuguk is out, the members enthusiastically offer their greetings to their new master. To Myuguk's surprise, he sees that the members of this pavilion faction are more friendly than he had thought. So he suspects Daryong threatened them that their salaries would be reduced if they didn't welcome him. Daryong reveals that it's not the case. The atmosphere is so good because of what Myuguk's shown them. It's because of the investigation incident against the demonic army commander. Go Dang, the first corps commander, killed the investigator that held the first investigation. But when Myuguk investigated, only an investigator was injured, and in that situation, he took care of the injured investigator by getting the demonic physician to look at him. Lastly, crushing the skull of Go Dang was as good as avenging them. At that moment, Daryong asks the new master to say something to them. Myuguk starts his speech by saying that not even he knows whether they will become happier or miserable now that he is the pavilion master. But he is certain of one thing: their hearts will run faster than they did before. The ceremony ends with the loud cheer of the members of the pavilion and an overall good atmosphere in the direction they head toward. Once Myuguk dives into the job, he frowns to learn that after he requested to see every report on the incident that was handled unfairly starts with the involvement of the Heaven Demons. Daryong doesn't want this as much as Myuguk does, but this just so happened recently and coincides with the involvement with the Blood Heaven's Sword Demon subordinate. Leon is worried, suggesting her young master hold himself back this time, knowing the cursed old man is about to explode. Myuguk shows her the report to read, explaining the incident written is way too unfair to cover up. Once she reads it, she immediately changes her mind and asks her young master to do something about it. Meanwhile, in the entertainment pavilion, a middle-aged man drinking by himself. The barkeeper advises this middle-aged man to stop drinking, seeing how helpless he is. He is depressed, unable to bring himself to stop, grumbling about how the scumbags of heaven demons that put his child in a comatose for 10 days were acquitted as innocent. The barkeeper prompts him to stop, saying the Nirvana pavilion was investigating it. The man reveals the investigator found his child sparred with his friend and got injured. He complains some more, saying the father of the child who led the attack on his child was the 100-sword demon. He is the subordinate of the Blood Heaven's sword demon and is the leader of 100 sword demons. This man feels hopeless that the Nirvana pavilion investigator is the same kind of person. The barkeeper keeps trying to prompt him to stop saying such words, in fear that the investigator will come and kill him. But the man is not afraid. He gives up on living after everything that happened to his child. If his son doesn't wake up, his wife won't be able to live either. Only after that happened, he determined to kill the bastard himself. Out of a sudden, a mug face appears along with 2 of his henchmen. The smug face abruptly approaches, claiming to be the person who is responsible for the man's child. The middle-aged man gets up from his chair, enraged by the smug face to give his son back, and demands an apology. Surprisingly, the smug face bows down, apologizes, and admits he committed a heinous crimes, only to get his head up, obnoxiously telling the man that is his apology, before he laughs along with his friends, making a mockery of this middle-aged man. Being drunk and unable to hold himself back, the middle-aged man is angry at them and tries to take out his sword. That instant, the smug face punches him in the face before he can pull out his sword. The punch sends him flying as the smug face turns to everyone, claiming the middle-aged man pulled his sword on him first. The 2 henchmen for sure agree with what the brute says. The smug face pound on the middle-aged man. He is angry that a mere storage keeper dares to report him to the Nirvana pavilion. He is mad because the storage keeper's son refuses to steal money from home, as he keeps pounding the helpless drunken man. At this point, the smug face simply confessed with his own mouth that he wanted the storage keeper's son to steal money and beat him up when said child refused. On the other hand, the storage keeper is pleased with how the smug face confessed to his own crime, asking whether everyone heard it. To satisfy himself, the smug face punches the storage keeper before he asks around the bar whether they heard anything. Unfortunately, no one was willing to come forward against this group of brutes. In the face of such atrocity, the storage keeper can only cry, and the smug face mocks him, a grown-ass man crying like a retard, like father, like son. The henchmen laugh at the sight in front of them. To their surprise, Muguk makes his entrance accompanied by Daryong and Leon, stating he heard the confession. The smug face turns around, wondering who dared to go against him. They go silent the moment they see someone dares to stand up to him. He states how rude the smug face is to speak that way. He can just imagine how he grew up as a child. That instant, the smug face lowers his gaze and apologizes to Muguk, claiming he is too emotional, begging this young man not to be angry. Once more, the smug face turns around, mocking Muguk, claiming he has no idea who he is, and threatens him not to dare go against him. A calm smile appears on Muguk's face, thinking that just being the son of the 100-sword demon allows him to act so tyrannically in broad daylight, signifying the 100-sword demon's reputation must be really powerful here, making the smug face wonder how dare he say such a thing. Only after it comes to this does the storage keeper chip in. He recognizes Muguk, calling him the second young master and surprising the smug face along with his henchmen. The other visitors stand up, going to greet their young master, including the smug face, who also shocked by the realization the young man in front of him is the second young master. On the other hand, Muguk claims to be here as the Nirvana Pavilion master. Leon chips in, saying the smug face should be more nervous knowing that. That instant, the smug face lowers his head once more, apologizing for failing to recognize who he is. Muguk denies his pleas, saying he doesn't seem really apologetic seeing his previous behavior. Muguk knows how shrewd this smug face is for knowing exactly when he needs to bow down to others. Right after, he asks for leave, but Muguk holds him off before he can leave. Muguk comes here because he has business with this smug face. He is here to investigate the assault incidents he has committed. The smug face mentioned the Nirvana Pavilion already judged that he was innocent. Muguk simply decides to reinvestigate the whole case. Since the smug face extorted money every day, that would be habitual extortion. Since he asked them to steal money, that would be the instigation of stealing. Since he assaulted his friend to the brink of death, that would be an attempted murder. On top of that, he looks for the victim's father and assaults him as well. For those heinous crimes he committed, Muguk sentenced him to imprisonment for 20 years. The smug face claims that they were just sparring, but Muguk reminds him that he confessed just moments ago, and Muguk, as the Nirvana Pavilion Master, heard it. The smug face doesn't want to accept it, saying his father will not stand by and let anyone accuse him. Muguk tells him not to worry about that, since his father will be so busy that he won't have time to look after him. Muguk also intends to arrest his father in this case for conspiring with a Nirvana Pavilion investigator. The smug face starts throwing a tantrum, going as far as threatening Muguk, saying after his father comes out of jail, he will definitely seek revenge against him. Having enough of his foul mouth, Muguk gives him a quick, simple jab to silence his fuss. Muguk states that just threatening the Nirvana Pavilion Master, his sentence just got increased to 30 years of imprisonment. This smug face begs for forgiveness, pathetically crying and gasping for air. In return, Muguk has enough of him talking about his father, so he asks for one reason why he should forgive him. Muguk asks whether he ever spared someone before, or whether he helped anyone before. He asks for anything kind that he has ever done, even if he decides to make it up. In the end, the smug face can't make it up, since he has never done it before. It will be tough for him to imagine anything like it. The smug face claims to have a change of heart and promises to be nice from now on. In kind, Muguk gives him a nice slap on his face. Satisfyingly, the smug face is out cold as Muguk reminds him to live kindly after he comes out of jail. In the henchman's turn, Muguk tells them to reveal everything because they are going to be scapegoated if they aren't. Muguk then orders Daryong to bring them to the pavilion. For once after so long, justice is upheld for the common people of the cult from the oppressive few in power. Right after, Muguk tells the others to report anything unfair if that ever happens again. He promises that as long as he is the Nirvana Pavilion Master, no amount of external influence will work on the Nirvana Pavilion. He also adds if anyone dares to call their father like the smug-faced brat did to intimidate others, Muguk will also call for his father. That instant, the atmosphere is lifted as people are delighted to see their young master is being fair. Leon speaks to the storage keeper, explaining the demonic physician has taken a look at his son before they came here under the orders of the young master. The storage keeper is unable to believe that his son is important enough for him to do such a thing. Muguk states his son is important, and he reveals he wakes up before he comes here and tells him to go to him now. The storage keeper is crying in relief, feeling grateful to the young master, and promises he will never forget his kindness. Muguk smiles at this person, explaining that he already devoted his entire life to the cult, and it's only natural for them to protect someone like him. The storage keeper keeps thanking Muguk, but Muguk knows better. He is the one who is thankful to this man for his devotion to the cult.